Alright guys, Hazing here, welcome to the channel. So in this video I wanted to go over what One Punch Man World's performance is like on the new line of PC handhelds basically. I'm doing this captured on my capture card, so I'm using TV out rather than the internal display, but you'll still be able to get the same idea of what the performance is like. Now I'm doing this on a Lenovo Legion Go, which is a Z1 Extreme processor, so the performance you see here will apply to devices like the ROG Ally as well. So if you're looking to play this game on something other than a mobile, you'll get an idea here of what sort of a performance you could be looking at getting from this game. So I'm just going to go in, we'll do a level. We've got the counters up at the top of the screen, so if you want to see basically what you are in for with a game like this, then you will be able to see how it's going to be performing on your device. Now for me personally, I tend to play most games on my Legion Go using integral scaling switched on, and I run things at 800p. I think I kind of get the best bang for my buck with that, and to be honest, on a screen of this kind of size, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. But I will show you the different settings that you can use in game and what you probably have to tune them to get the sort of a best type of performance. Okay, so we're just going to get into a stage and then I'll show you what settings we're running on and what the performance is like. So here is the settings that we're running on. You can see here that I have got it set to ultra on everything. This is at 1280 by 800, and we'll get an idea of what the performance is like. Now I've got to say, I've noticed while moving about, the frame counter has decided to not show the number of frames it's running at. You'll just have to kind of use your eyes, to be honest, and you'll see the performance yourself. I don't know if this is because I'm connected to an external display, but what I can say is last night this was not dropping below 60. It was staying around the range of between 80 to 90, occasional lows of 70, but I'd say more often than not it was sitting around 80, 90 consistently. So this is what you're going to get on the kind of ultra settings. I'm not going to do very much of this here. I'll pause it and then I'll change it to 1080 and we'll see what we kind of have to put it to get a consistent performance. Okay, so this is us running at 1080p, 1280 by 800. What I will say is, again, I do not know if this is something to do with the external display, but to me, it does seem like it's maybe running a little bit slower than it did last night when I was playing natively on the device. But as you can see, it is still 100% perfectly playable, and that is with everything absolutely turned up to ultra. So I'll pause it just now, we'll go in and we'll change some of the settings down a little bit. We'll put it to high, we'll turn off VSync, we'll set the refresh rate to no limit, and we'll see if at medium settings, probably push this down to medium and this down as well. We'll see if at medium settings, or high settings, sorry, we are getting faster results. I can tell you now, playing, even though we've not got the FPS counter at the side, that it definitely to me feels like it's faster. It feels like it's a little bit smoother. So a mixture of high and medium seems like a nice sweet spot there. So I'm going to come away and I'll flick this up to higher settings. We'll go and we'll try 1080p. And I would really suspect that at 1080p I'm probably going to struggle to do high, but we'll keep it on high and we'll just leave everything else like that. I'll probably turn down post-processing and NPC density again. Usually NPC density is something that can be quite taxing. So this is 1080p. And I will say that so far it feels absolutely no different at all. It feels exactly the same, which is obviously good. That's 1080p. I didn't see any noticeable or feel any noticeable drops in performance playing the game there. Next one, we're going to have to try and push it all the way to the native resolution of the Legion Go. Obviously, if you are playing on an ROG Ally, you've pretty much hit your maximum because that device has only got a 1080p display. So you're going to get rock solid performance if you are someone who is using a an ROG Ally. So if you've got one of those devices, you already know you can more or less, I want to say, run the game at top end settings, and it's going to perform absolutely admirably for you. You'll have no issues playing whatsoever. But if you are someone who is connecting that to an external display, you might want to push it higher. Or if you've got a Lenovo Legion Go, which has got a higher native resolution on its display, you might want to play it at a higher setting on handheld. So I am this time going to push it up to the highest resolution, and we'll see what kind of performance we get from that. You can obviously see things like the temps and stuff like that aren't getting too high, but unfortunately we're not able to really see the FPS counter working at the moment. I don't know what's happened, but I think it's something to do with the external display. So we'll push this up to full resolution. Everything will have to get slightly changed. No, everything looks the same there, so we'll keep that medium. We'll see how this goes. I don't know how this is going to go at 2560 or 2560 by 1600, right? So we'll see how it is now. Okay, there's a few frame drops there are clearly seen. So I would probably instantly say that settings wise, I'm probably thinking push this down to medium to get the absolute best I can get here. And I'm not feeling any frame drops or anything strange like that coming from it now. I mean, obviously without the FPS counter, I'm having to just go completely on gut feeling. I think there's a few odd frames that are dropping here and there I can see. So while I think it's perfectly playable at full resolution on the Legion Go, or externally at this kind of resolution, which you guys won't be able to see, unfortunately, you won't have noticed much change because obviously my capture card is only 1080, so you won't see visually a change in the picture. But what I will say is I'm definitely noticing just an ever so slight drop in performance when I am playing it at those settings, and I can hear the fans kicking in a little bit more. We might have seen a little bit of change on the numbers at the top. So if I go back to what I feel like is probably the sweet spot. Oh no, the resolution went back to 1080. Guess we're locked in at that. So let me just double check. Is that automatically changing? No, it's still there. Strange. Don't know why that happened. So we'll keep those settings. Just want to double check in case that is automatically defaulting back because of the capture card. It says it's defaulting back again, so that's pretty strange. Maybe the capture card's making it default back. I would need to check it natively on the screen to see what it's like, basically using the higher setting, which would be this one here. But that obviously means at 1080p, you're getting decent performance off of it. I think if we go back to high again, just to double check, in case this is just not actually updating. So if I go back to here, when I was playing originally on 1920 by 1200, I feel like it was playing absolutely fine. I wasn't getting any frame drops or anything. But when I went back in there and changed it to 2K resolution, basically, I did feel frame drops. But then when we go back into settings, it said the resolution was at 1200. So, a bit strange. Let me just double check here to see if that was an actual change. So let's keep this all back at high. High. These were at medium, so we'll keep them where they were. Come back out. So this is definitely set to 1080 now, essentially, or 1200, whatever they're calling it. And I'm not feeling those frame drops I was feeling. It's running absolutely fine here. Yet, when I put it to this resolution, I definitely felt frames dropping. Despite the fact that when we go back in, it's saying the resolution hasn't changed. I'm a bit worried that that's not actually changing, but then why would I be getting those frame drops? But overall, all I wanted to say was if you are someone who is playing on one of these handhelds, you can definitely get decent performance from this title. To me, this game is far more suited to playing on something like this. It feels like a console game. It feels like a PC game. It feels like something that you should be playing on a device like this. Sure, it's great on mobile. There's no if buts or maybes about that. Definitely, if you can map controls using one of the methods that I showed in another video, using screen mapping, the game plays absolutely fine on mobile. I personally do not think it's a very good touchscreen experience. It's just action games and touchscreens to me don't match up. So you can see there, look, there's definitely some frame dropping going on here. So I do think this is displaying the resolution here is changed. However, when I go back in here, it is saying to me that, you know, it's that resolution. But when I go out, actually change it to that resolution, I'm not getting those frame drops. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but what I'll say is I do feel like maybe it's auto-detecting the display when I go back into settings and it wants to automatically change it back to 1080 or whatever because of my capture card. But when I do this and change the video resolution here and I come back out, there is frame drops. I'm definitely feeling them that I wasn't getting. Maybe it's psychosomatic, I don't know, but what I will say is so far the sweet spot for me anyway, I would say would probably be either running it at 1280 by 800, and if you've got a Legion Go, turn on integral scaling. If you've not done that, guys, it will make your games look fantastic, right? If you've got an ROG alloy, you can't really do that because it will squash your image. Integral scaling basically doubles the resolution, so you would need to have a native 2K panel to do that. So I think your sweet spot if you're on the ROG Ally is going to be the 1920 by 1200. Maybe you're looking at possibly having these settings down at medium. I think that's probably the safest way to go. The game still looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, you're going to get a higher frame rate if you're doing that, and ultimately that will maybe be your sweet spot. I think that's maybe going to be your sweet spot. Whereas if you're running on the Legion Go, I do ultimately think the best thing that you can do is set the resolution to this, turn off the refresh rate limit, put everything on ultra, and you're going to have yourself a sweet experience. You'll probably get really good frame rates. The ROG, the Legion Go's got a 144 Hz display refresh rate, so you'll probably see yourself getting really nice frames on that. But again, if you're on the ROG Ally, I don't think you're actually missing out. You can totally run the game at 1080p, and you are going to also have a fantastic experience with relation to performance. I will say I'm quite impressed. I think they've, for what this game is, I think they've optimised it fairly well to run on PC hardware, and it doesn't actually need a lot of grunt to actually perform. So there you go. If you do want to play yourself a little bit of One Punch Man World and you've got one of these PC handhelds, you will be able to do it. Steam Deck, it's a different story. This has got its own launcher, it's not on Steam, so you probably won't be able to play it. Maybe someone somewhere will find a workaround, maybe they'll have a bit of sense and they'll release it onto Steam, because that's obviously quite a lot of potential users. But for now, if you've got a Steam Deck, I can't really think of a way that you could get this to run, because it doesn't always work well with launchers. So watch this space, maybe someone will figure out a way to get it running on Steam Deck. But if you're running one of the Windows handhelds, no problem at all. You can run this and it will play absolutely fine on anything with a Z1E processor. Probably a little bit lower processors if you turn down the settings a little bit, but yep, performs absolutely great on this kind of hardware. Anyway, long ass video. I've been HAZINK. Catch you in the next one. Peace.